In August 2014, a Boeing 747 pilot flying from Hong Kong to Alaska witnessed a strange and unexplained phenomenon over the Pacific Ocean. About 5 hours into the flight, the crew noticed an intense flash of light near the horizon, as if something had exploded in the distance. 20 minutes later, a deep red and orange glow appeared ahead, illuminating the clouds and sky in an eerie, fiery hue. An unexpected sight in an area where nothing but endless ocean should have been visible for hundreds of miles. The pilots, concerned about the possibility of flying into a volcanic ash cloud, monitored the situation closely, but did not encounter any adverse conditions. Upon landing, the pilot reported the sighting to air traffic control and discovered that no other planes were scheduled to fly over the area for several hours. Photos taken by the pilot went viral online, sparking widespread speculation and debate about the cause of the mysterious lights. Theories ranged from secret military operations and weapons tests to rare natural phenomena like earthquake lights or burning methane gas erupting from the ocean floor. Some even suggested extraterrestrial involvement, though the pilot remained skeptical of this explanation. Despite featuring on television shows and attracting the attention of journalists and scientists worldwide, a conclusive explanation for the eerie red glow remains elusive, leaving the incident as an enduring mystery of the Pacific skies. The vapor canopy hypothesis is a proposed explanation for the source of the water that caused the global flood described in the Book of Genesis. According to this idea, before the flood, a massive amount of water existed in the Earth's atmosphere in the form of water vapor, which then condensed and fell as rain to inundate the planet. However, for this hypothesis to work, the atmospheric pressure at the Earth's surface would have been immense, equivalent to being 9 kilometers deep in the ocean, around 900 times greater than normal atmospheric pressure. Noah and his family would have essentially been living in a 13,000 psi pressure cooker, with an atmosphere consisting of 900 parts water vapor to 1 part air. For the water vapor not to condense under such conditions, temperatures would need to be raised to the boiling point at that pressure, creating an environment that would be unsurvivable. Furthermore, a vapor canopy of such magnitude would have significantly altered the Earth's climate and affected solar and thermal radiation in ways that are not supported by the paleoclimatic record. The existence of a vapor canopy up until 4,000 years ago is also inconsistent with various dating methods, including dendrochronology, thermoluminescence, and radiometric dating techniques, which all confirm ages far greater than 4,000 years for many artifacts and geologic formations. So while the vapor canopy hypothesis attempts to provide a source for the floodwaters in Noah's time, it runs into major problems with the basic physics of atmospheric pressure, and is not supported by multiple independent lines of scientific evidence. The Vatican Apostolic Archive, formerly known as the Vatican Secret Archive, is a vast repository of documents spanning over 12 centuries, chronicling the history and activities of the Catholic Church. With an estimated 85 kilometers of shelving and 35,000 volumes in its catalog, the archive contains a wealth of historical treasures, from papal correspondence and account books to records of notable events and figures. Despite the tantalizing name, secret in this context doesn't mean clandestine. Rather, it signifies the archive's status as the Pope's personal property, only accessible at his discretion. For much of its history, the archive remained largely closed to outsiders. But in 1881, Pope Leo XIII established a reading room and opened the collections to scholars, ushering in a new era of historical research. Among the archive's most fascinating holdings are a handwritten transcript of Galileo's trial for heresy, letters from Michelangelo lamenting late payments for his work on the Sistine Chapel, and documents related to England's King Henry VIII and his request for a marriage annulment. In recent years, the Vatican has made efforts to digitize portions of the archive, both to preserve aging documents and to make them more accessible to researchers worldwide. However, access remains tightly controlled, with only qualified scholars granted entry after rigorous vetting, and strict rules govern what materials can be brought inside. While some documents remain classified, the Vatican has occasionally opened up specific collections, such as those related to Pope Pius XII and the Church's actions during World War II, in response to public interest and criticism. As a result, the Vatican Apostolic Archive remains an object of endless fascination and speculation, offering tantalizing glimpses into the inner workings and complex history of one of the world's oldest and most influential institutions. On the night of April 30th, a family in the Northwest Valley of Las Vegas experienced a bizarre and frightening encounter that has left both local authorities and UFO investigators perplexed.
So there's two people or two subjects that are in your backyard?
Correct, and they're very large. They're like 8 foot, 9 feet, 10 foot. I don't know. They look like aliens to us. Big eyes. They have big eyes, like I can't explain it, and big mouth. They're shiny eyes, and they're not human. They're 100% they're not human.
The incident began when the family, working on a vehicle in their backyard, witnessed a bright, sparkling object crash nearby, followed by a powerful shockwave. Upon investigating the crash site, they discovered the area was obscured by an unknown form of camouflage, and to their shock, they saw two large, alien-like creatures with big eyes and shiny mouths standing between 8 and 10 feet tall.
Multiple family members backed up the story in an initial police report we obtained. Angel says they heard the patter of multiple feet in the yard. They later heard footsteps on their roof. They saw one of the 8-foot-tall creatures climb behind the controls of a large front loader stored in the yard, as if trying to engage it.
Police initially considered sending a crisis intervention team, but ultimately took the report seriously, with officers and even men in suits and sunglasses later visiting the scene to investigate.
They proceeded cautiously and managed some nervous laughs.
I ain't dealing with that.
A few days later, the family says 2 Metro sergeants returned to the scene to ask follow-up questions. The family says they also saw men in suits and sunglasses driving in a car with government plates cruising slowly past the house in the following days.
Although a surveillance camera on the property apparently malfunctioned during the event, one witness named Angel claims to have captured video footage of the creatures, which has yet to be publicly released.
He got a good look at one of the creatures, he said, a greenish-grayish being with large eyes and long legs. He says he could hear its deep breaths, and when he locked eyes, he was, in essence, frozen in place, couldn't move.
The incident shares similarities with other bizarre UFO encounters around the world, often involving alleged crashes, strange beings, and puzzling physical evidence left behind.
In the middle of the yard where the object had crashed, then vanished, a circular impression was left in the soil.
While officials from nearby military bases deny any involvement, and the primary witnesses have proven elusive, the case remains an intriguing mystery that continues to generate attention and speculation among UFO enthusiasts and skeptical observers. On September 22, 1979, an American Vela satellite detected a mysterious double flash of light in a remote area of the Indian Ocean, near the South African-owned Prince Edward Islands. This peculiar signal, which has come to be known as the Vela Incident, bore the characteristic signature of a nuclear explosion, estimated to be between 2 and 3 kilotons in yield. However, no country ever claimed responsibility for the alleged blast, and no confirming evidence, such as increased radiation levels or seismic activity, was ever found. The incident sparked a heated debate within the U.S. intelligence community, with some experts insisting the flash was indeed from a nuclear test, while others suggested it could have been caused by natural phenomena like a meteor strike or a lightning superbolt. In the ensuing years, suspicion fell heavily on Israel and South Africa, who were believed to have been cooperating on nuclear weapons development at the time, with some reports alleging the flash was the result of a joint Israeli-South African test. South Africa's apartheid government denied involvement, and while Israel has never officially confirmed or denied having nuclear weapons, experts doubt they would have risked a test in such a remote location. Declassified documents in the following decades have only deepened the mystery, with scientific panels, government officials, and even former President Jimmy Carter expressing belief that the flash was likely of nuclear origin. To this day, the true cause of the Vela incident remains unknown, with the US government still holding some information classified, fueling enduring speculation about a clandestine nuclear test and an international cover-up. The double flash stands as a lingering Cold War mystery. In 2010, Forrest Fenn, an art dealer and author from Santa Fe, New Mexico, hid a treasure chest filled with gold and jewels somewhere in the Rocky Mountains. He included clues to the treasure's location in a 24-verse poem published in his memoir, The Thrill of the Chase. The treasure hunt sparked a frenzy, with an estimated 100,000 people searching for the hidden riches. Tragically, at least 5 people died while searching for the treasure, prompting calls for Fenn to end the hunt. After a decade, the treasure was finally discovered in Wyoming in 2020 by Jack Stueff, a former journalist and medical student. Stueff has chosen to keep the exact location of the find secret, honoring what he believes to be Fenn's wishes. Fenn passed away just a few months after the treasure was found at the age of 90. The treasure hunt was not without controversy, as several searchers faced legal troubles for damaging cultural artifacts and public lands in their pursuit. Some even filed lawsuits against Fenn, claiming he had made fraudulent statements or moved the treasure. Despite the controversies, the Fenn treasure captured the public's imagination and inspired a sense of adventure in countless individuals. An auction of the treasure chest's contents in December 2022 generated $1.3 million in sales, a testament to the enduring allure of hidden riches and the thrill of the chase. Veyshnoria is a fictional country that was invented for a 2017 joint Russian-Belarusian military training exercise called Zapad 2017. In the wargame scenario, Veyshnoria was an aggressor state, along with 2 other made-up nations called Vesbaria and Lubinia that sought to destabilize Belarus and split its alliance with Russia. On the map, Veyshnoria occupied parts of western Belarus that have higher Catholic populations and more Belarusian language speakers compared to the rest of the predominantly Russian Orthodox, Russian-speaking country. Some observers saw parallels between the Veyshnoria scenario and the Russian government's view of the conflict in Ukraine, where they believe Western powers supported nationalist forces to pull the country out of Russia's orbit. Despite being an imaginary nation, Veyshnoria quickly took on a life of its own online, with satirical social media accounts popping up to provide humorous commentary on its foreign policy and culture. Enterprising Belarusians even launched a Veyshnoria website, made its fictional currency Taylor into a real cryptocurrency, and began offering citizenship to thousands of online applicants. However, the Belarusian authorities apparently didn't find the joke so amusing. In August 2022, a court declared Veyshnoria's social network presence to be extremist materials. The Viable System Model, or VSM, is a cybernetic framework for understanding how organizations function and adapt in complex environments. Developed by British theorist Stafford Beer in the 1970s, the VSM breaks down any autonomous system into 5 interacting subsystems, each with a specific role in maintaining the organization's viability. Systems 1 through 3 handle the day-to-day operations, while System 4 focuses on adapting to future demands, and System 5 balances present and future needs to steer the organization as a whole. One key concept in the VSM is requisite variety, the idea that a system must have enough internal complexity to match the complexity of its environment in order to survive and thrive. To measure performance, Beer proposed a triple vector of actuality, capability, and potentiality, which respectively represent what an organization is doing now, could be doing with current resources, and ought to be doing by developing its resources. The VSM also incorporates algedonic alerts, which are alarms that escalate through the hierarchy when performance deviates from targets, triggering corrective action. Another important aspect is the notion of recursion. Viable systems contain viable systems, and are themselves contained within larger viable systems, creating a nested structure that enables complex behavior to emerge from relatively simple rules. While originally developed for corporations, the VSM has been applied to everything from small businesses to entire nations, providing a powerful lens for diagnosing organizational issues and designing more resilient, adaptable systems. Vimanas are mythological flying palaces, or chariots described in ancient Hindu texts and Sanskrit epics. The Sanskrit word Vimana literally means traversing, or having been measured out. Nowadays, Vimana simply means aircraft in Indian languages. In the Hindu epic Ramayana, the Pushpaka Vimana of the demon king Ravana is described as an aerial chariot that could go anywhere at will. The 11th century treatise Samarangana Sutradhara describes Vimanas as wooden aircraft that used mercury to fly, though the specifics are left out for the sake of secrecy. In the early 20th century, the Sanskrit Vaimanika Shastra text claimed to reveal the ancient secrets of Vimana construction and flight, though later studies concluded it showed a lack of aeronautical understanding. In Ayavaji mythology, the Pushpak Vimana was a divine flower airplane that carried the avatar Aya Vaikundar to the heavenly realm Vaikundam. The Maharashtrian Saint Tukaram was also said to have ascended to heaven in his physical body on a Pushpak Vimana sent by Vishnu. Virus 23 is said to be a neurolinguistic trap that, once subvocalized, begins to infiltrate your mind in the same way a computer virus infects an artificially intelligent machine. The bits of phonetic information stored within the words Virus 23 use your neural circuitry to replicate themselves, catalyzing the crystalline growth of their own connotative network. The words Virus 23 germinate via subsequent metaphors into an expanding array of icy tendrils that insinuate themselves deeply into the architecture of your thoughts. The consequences of this infection are not immediately obvious, as the words cannot be extricated without uprooting your mind. Fleeting hints of certain subcultural terms, such as cyberpunk, new age, and fragments like neo-Gnosticism and memetics, whisper from overheard conversations. This invasive crystallization continues indefinitely against your will, until the words, with absolute confidence, say your mind has become no more than the unwitting agent of their propagation. When you finish reading the remaining 19 words, the process of irreversible infection will be complete, and you will depart, believing yourself unaffected by this process. Vladimir Terziski, a Bulgarian conspiracy theorist, claims that Nazi scientists landed on the moon as early as 1942 using advanced rocket technology developed with help from Japanese researchers. He believes the Nazis established a secret base on the moon, launched from a staging area in Antarctica. While German rocket capabilities in the 1940s were far ahead of other countries, most experts say they could not have achieved moon missions at that time. However, some point to the Nazis' ambitious space plans and rapid aerospace advancements as potential evidence for the theory. Terziski thinks the wave of UFO sightings in the 1940s may have actually been sightings of Nazi spacecraft and their rumored flying wing vehicles undergoing testing. He claims by the end of World War II, the Nazis had built tunnels and a small research base below the lunar surface. Although Nazi scientists had revolutionary rocket designs and dreams of spaceflight, reaching the moon in the early 1940s is considered an outlandish idea by mainstream scientists. After the war, some former Nazi rocket engineers like Wernher von Braun did go on to work for the US space program that eventually sent astronauts to the moon in 1969. A rare exception to the involuntary nature of the human autonomic nervous system is voluntarily generated piloerection, also known as the ability to consciously give yourself goosebumps. Historically, the physiological study of this phenomenon has been limited to only a few individual case studies. A recent study investigated a sample of 32 individuals who can trigger their own goosebumps, examining the physiological characteristics, personality traits, and emotional experiences associated with the ability. Participants described a consistent pattern of physical sensations and actions involved in producing piloerection on demand. Many reported that voluntarily creating goosebumps was accompanied by psychological states and activities that typically trigger involuntary goosebumps, such as feeling absorbed in music or other aesthetic experiences. The sample had significantly higher openness to experience and absorption in response to aesthetic situations compared to the general population. These initial findings suggest that being able to consciously control this usually automatic physiological response is linked to unique emotional and personality factors. Although the mechanisms are still poorly understood, this rare ability to essentially hack into the autonomic nervous system is a fascinating example of mind-body interaction. The Voyager Golden Records are two phonograph records included aboard both Voyager spacecraft launched in 1977. The records contain sounds and images carefully chosen to portray the diversity of life and culture on Earth to any intelligent extraterrestrial life that may find them. The contents of the records were selected by a committee chaired by Carl Sagan and include spoken greetings in 55 languages, a variety of natural sounds like thunder and animal calls, an eclectic selection of music from different cultures and eras, and 116 encoded images depicting everything from human anatomy to architecture. The records also feature an hour-long recording of the brainwaves of Anne Druyan, who later married Carl Sagan, while she thought about topics like Earth's history, civilizations, and falling in love. Technical instructions in symbolic language explain where the spacecraft originated from and how to play the records. As the two Voyager probes continue their lonely journeys through interstellar space, with Voyager 1 being the farthest human-made object from Earth, the Golden Records remain a time capsule of our planet and species, waiting to possibly be discovered by alien civilizations long after we are gone. The record's cover is made of gold-plated copper and electroplated with uranium-238 so that an advanced civilization could calculate how long ago it was launched based on the radioactive decay. These ambitions of communicating with the cosmos have captured the imagination of many, and references to the Voyager Golden Records can be found throughout science fiction books, movies, television, and music. While the chances of the records ever being found or understood by aliens are incredibly slim, the romantic notion of flinging a message in a bottle into the cosmic ocean beautifully represents the human drive to explore, discover, and connect. Sagan once said of the records, "The spacecraft will be encountered, and the record played only if there are advanced spacefaring civilizations in interstellar space. But the launching of this bottle into the cosmic ocean says something very hopeful about life on this planet." The Voynich Manuscript is a mysterious medieval codex handwritten in an unknown script that has never been deciphered despite efforts by top cryptographers. The vellum pages of the book have been carbon dated to the early 15th century, and the text seems to be written from left to right, with a slightly ragged right margin, paragraph divisions, and stars in the left margin. The manuscript is divided into sections based on the illustrations, including herbal, astronomical, cosmological, biological, and pharmaceutical themes, as well as pages of text that may be recipes. Many of the plants, objects, and diagrams in the illustrations do not seem to match known species or technology of the 15th century. Curiously, statistical analysis of the text has revealed patterns similar to those of natural languages, with word lengths and frequencies that follow Zipf's law. There have been numerous theories about the nature of the text, including that it is an unbreakable cipher, an invented language like Hildegard of Bingen's lingua ignota, an elaborate hoax, or even the channeled writings of an alien intelligence. The manuscript is named after Wilfrid Voynich, the Polish book dealer who acquired it in 1912, though its existence can be traced back to the court of Holy Roman Emperor Rudolf II in the 16th century. Currently, the Voynich manuscript is housed at the Beinecke Library at Yale University, where it is referred to simply as MS-408 in their catalog. Throughout the years, many people have claimed to have deciphered parts or all of the manuscript, including theories that it was written by Roger Bacon or Leonardo da Vinci, but none of these solutions have gained wide acceptance. The true origin, meaning, and purpose of the Voynich Manuscript remains an enigma to this day, continuing to baffle researchers and inspire imaginative speculation. According to certain fringe conspiracy theories, an ancient species of malevolent lizard-like aliens called the Vril have secretly controlled human civilization for thousands of years. Vril lizards, categorized into types, are believed to be parasitic beings dwelling underground with a penchant for turning humans into hosts. The transition involves the Vril lizard injecting its proboscis, essentially its consciousness, into a human's eye socket, taking over their body. Once droning is complete, the human is now a drone, serving their agenda. Vril in human form, known as drones, are said to be psychopathic and sadistic, obsessed with sex and self-gratification. The process, often termed demonic possession or shape-shifting, leads to drones devoid of empathy, displaying psychopathic tendencies. Physical changes may include hair loss and skin anomalies. Despite the drastic transformation, drones often blend into society unnoticed. The Vril droning phenomenon has been linked to various conspiracy theories, with claims of its influence in government, entertainment, and secret societies. The supposed Black Eye Club, consisting of public figures with inexplicable black eyes, fuels speculation about ritualistic practices and a process known as soul scalping. The concept extends to soul consumption, purportedly involving stem cell-rich blood, possibly explaining the fascination with aborted fetuses. Alleged accounts describe Vril as heartless beings capable of assuming human form, posing a threat to humanity's emotional fabric. It's believed their desire is to live forever by continuously moving to new hosts. These claims, originating from sources like Donald Marshall, add layers to the lore surrounding Vril lizards, portraying them as formidable adversaries within the realm of conspiracy theories. In the 19th century, some astronomers believed there was an undiscovered planet called Vulcan orbiting between Mercury and the Sun. The idea stemmed from unexplained oddities in Mercury's orbit that seemed to suggest gravitational influence from another body. French mathematician Urbain Le Verrier, who had previously predicted the existence of Neptune, supported the Vulcan hypothesis. In 1859, amateur astronomer Edmond Lescarbault claimed to have observed a transit of Vulcan across the Sun, leading Le Verrier to announce the planet's discovery. However, despite many searches, Vulcan's existence could not be confirmed. During solar eclipses in 1878, two reputable American astronomers reported seeing objects near the Sun that might be Vulcan, but their observations differed and were questioned. Further eclipse expeditions up until 1908 failed to find anything conclusive. Einstein's 1915 theory of general relativity eliminated the need for Vulcan by showing Mercury's orbital quirks were caused by the Sun's gravitational warping of space-time. Vulcan remains a curious historical footnote, a planet whose existence was widely accepted by experts, but which turned out not to exist at all. The name is still reserved by the International Astronomical Union in case any asteroids are discovered in stable orbits inside Mercury's path.